During World War II, Germany created a weapon that was the largest cannon ever used on a battlefield in the history of the world. Yes, so huge that it took 5 separate trains to move it from one place to another. It didn't end there. It required more than 4,000 people to operate it. You can imagine that just firing a single shot would take a lot of preparation. And months, and when it roared, the entire area would shake to the ground as if an earthquake had occurred in the entire area. And the name of this terrible weapon was the Sarah Gustav. This cannon was created by the German giant Krupp. Their goal was to create a weapon that could destroy the enemy's strongest concrete bunkers, fortresses, and even underground fortifications from a distance. At that time, the French Maginot Line and the Soviet defense system were so strong that it was almost impossible to break through them with ordinary artillery. And this gigantic cannon was built to make that impossible task possible. Now imagine in front of you a cannon that was about 47 meters long. That is, about as long as 8 tanks lined up one after the other. Its barrel alone was 32 meters long, and its mouth was so big that a person could easily walk through it. It was not only big, its size was the same as an entire building. If a person stood next to it, he would feel very small, as if an ant was standing next to a huge monster. This cannon weighed about 1,350 tons. So heavy that it could not be placed on ordinary ground. For this, 4 parallel railway lines had to be specially built. The cannon would sit on 2 lines, and the remaining 2 lines would carry the huge cranes that would install its parts. The whole setup was a kind of engineering matter, which was not only for war, but a vivid example of how far the limits of technology can go. Taking this cannon from one place to another was another huge operation. It would first have to be disassembled into about 25 large parts. Then those parts would be taken by separate trains. Then they would be reassembled at the new place, and this whole work would take about 6 weeks. Think about how a month and a half it takes to fire a weapon. How important this time is in war. Thousands of people would work during this whole process. Some would be setting up trucks, some would be assembling parts, some would be making bullets. The whole place looked like a small city. Such a big arrangement just to fire a cannon. This proves how unusual it was. It was not just a weapon, rather it was a whole system. Now let's come to the most terrifying part, its bullets. This cannon had a high explosive shell about 8 meters long, and it weighed about 4,800 kilograms. When this shell was fired into the air, it would hit about 40 kilometers away, and when it fell on the ground, it would create a hole about 12 meters deep. That means today a building could disappear in that hole. This cannon had such power. There was another type of shell called armor-piercing, and it was even heavier, about 7,100 kilograms. This shell was made in such a way that it would penetrate deep into the ground and then explode. That is, without breaking anything outside, it penetrates inside and destroys the entire structure. Tests have shown that it can penetrate about 10 meters of concrete. That means even the strongest bunker in the world was not safe in front of it. The bullets of this cannon could travel so far that it was possible to hit a target 40 to 45 kilometers away. That means it could hit from one city to another. For that time, it was an incredible technology. But behind this power, there was a huge limitation, which later changed the future of this weapon. Because firing a lane was not so easy. Each shot was a separate operation. First, the barrel had to be lowered, then the huge shell had to be loaded, then the propellant had to be inserted. The whole process was quite slow and complicated and had to be done very carefully. As a result, it took a lot of time, and it was difficult to keep up with the rapid pace of the war. And when this cannon fired, its sound was so loud that it could be heard from a long distance. All the surrounding buildings would collapse, the ground would tremble. Many times, people could not understand whether it was an explosion or an earthquake. It was a sound that could not only be heard, but also felt. And this terrible cannon was used during the siege of Sevastopol. There, this monster was used to break the strong defense system of the Soviets. One shell hit the underground ammunition depot.
After the explosion, the whole place collapsed. Everything around was destroyed. At that moment, this cannon showed its real power. But here the question comes, despite being so powerful, why couldn't the Germans win that war? Because the reality is that this cannon was more powerful than it was limited. It worked very slowly. After firing one shot, it took a long time to get ready for a second shot, sometimes up to 45 minutes. In the middle of the war,